Okay, so part 2b says discuss at least 2 other ways in which this data can be displayed and state the advantages and disadvantages of each method. All right, now there seems to be quite a few of these sorts of questions lately, and they really are giveaway marks because these are the kind of marks that you can easily answer. Okay, so this is a data display. Now, when we're talking about displaying data, we're talking about things like bar graphs, column graphs, pie graphs, tables, anything kind of like that. We are not talking about other ways of displaying data like box plots and dot plots and scatter graphs. Those are for very specific purposes. Okay, so we have a box plot and dot plot for comparing groups, and we have scatter graphs for looking at relationships. So when we're looking at the more visual kind of thing here, we really are looking at between bar graphs, pie charts, and tables. Okay. So yeah, the visual kind of things, the things that just give you the information straight. Okay, so let's just have a think about what each of these are. So a bar graph, so if we were going to do a bar graph for something like this, we would have to have you would either have a, different, you'd have lots of different bars for it. So you'd have like the loose forwards and then, let's make that a bit bigger. So the loose forwards, this is Australia, loose forwards, and then you'd have the halfbacks, and then you'd have the fullbacks, and then you'd have, you'd have lots of these graphs here. And, it would probably show you a little bit easier the differences between each of these, but it is going to also maybe make things a little bit more confusing to compare. So it wouldn't really make it as easy for comparing. So let's suggest something, and you'd have to have 2. So that one would be for Australia and one for New Zealand, or you can have them both on the same one, but just colored differently. And then you'd have here's your loose forwards, here's your loose forwards, here's your your props and your props for each country. So you potentially could do that, but just it may make it a little bit difficult in comparing together. Okay, so bar graphs. So pros, you would be able to, the heights would give you clear indications. Heights would clearly indicate the differences. Between positions. And then the cons, it would be confusing to compare. Okay, so the next thing that we can talk about is the pie charts. Now, pie charts have their places, definitely. But the thing about pie charts is that they must add up to like 100% or something, so they have to be proportional. And you would need to have 2 of them. So each of them would have to be proportional. Now, notice here that the number of players for Australia, it looks like it's sitting around 65, and the number here is sitting around maybe 63 or 64, something like that. So you could add them up and figure that out exactly. But obviously you would have to change the way that it shows this so that it shows it proportionally, so that the whole thing would be 100%. And again, that may just make things a little bit more confusing. So the good thing about a pie chart is you only need 2 of them. So just a bit like this column graph over here, you only need two charts. And because the numbers are so similar, it would be difficult to see the difference. I'm going to make this over 2 videos, so if you want to watch the rest of it, I'll just finish off pie charts and then go on to the next of it. And yeah, so you can't see the totals. So pros and cons for a pie chart as well. Maybe a bit more visually impactful, there's a lot of stuff in here, so you may get confused.